Nobody expected FIFA's worst nightmare to arrive in the shape of Egypt leading Argentina by 2 goals under the brightest lights in football. Nobody expected the defending champions to look rattled, desperate, almost cornered, while an underdog carried the weight of a nation and played without fear. And nobody expected that one decision, one stoppage, one cold intervention from a screen would leave an entire tournament drowning in suspicion. Stay with us, because by the end of this video you will understand why this match became more than a comeback, more than a heartbreak, and maybe more than a game. 30 minutes into the round of 16, Egypt were living a dream so huge it felt dangerous. They had pressed higher, run harder, and struck twice against the reigning kings of world football. In homes across Cairo, Alexandria, Giza, and beyond, people were already whispering the impossible. Could this be the night the old order cracked? Could this be the night Messi's march ended? Subscribe now and turn on notifications, because what happened next is the part they will debate for years. The part that split fans, players, coaches, and officials right down the middle of this World Cup story. The central contradiction is impossible to ignore. Argentina may have shown the heart of champions, but Egypt believed the result was bent at the moment their second goal was erased. One side says greatness survived, the other says justice disappeared. One side sees resilience, tactical adjustment, and world-class nerve under pressure. The other sees a referee team whose biggest call changed the temperature of the stadium, the tempo of the match, and maybe the direction of the tournament itself. That is why this story exploded. That is why it exploded, because football can survive defeat. Can it survive doubt? At first, everything about Egypt's performance felt almost mythic. Hossam Hassan sent his team out with aggression, courage, and a refusal to worship reputations. They closed passing lanes, doubled the flanks, and attacked space behind Argentina's backline with a level of conviction that shocked even neutral observers. The first goal hit like thunder. The second sent the stadium into delirium. Players on the Egyptian bench were in tears. Supporters were shaking, screaming, praying. Across the touchline, Argentina looked stunned, as if the script had been ripped from their hands. For a stretch, the Giants were left begging for answers. Then came the turning point, the freeze frame that will live in argument long after the highlights fade. Egypt thought they had scored again, a ruthless finish that should have made it 3 and buried the holders under history. The celebrations erupted, arms flew upward, staff sprinted down the line, and then the signal came. VAR, delay, silence, replay, delay again. The goal was ruled out, and in that tiny pocket of time, the match changed shape. Egypt saw robbery, Argentina saw rescue through procedure. Millions watching saw the same images and still walked away believing completely different truths afterward. That is the moment Egyptian anger stopped being simple disappointment and became accusation. Hossam Hassan did not hide behind polite phrases or diplomatic caution. He stepped forward and challenged the officiating directly, questioning how a decision so decisive could arrive with such certainty when the contact, the sequence, and the interpretation were dividing experts within minutes. He spoke about inconsistency. He spoke about selective intervention. Most explosively, he suggested that FIFA had every reason to want Messi and Argentina moving deeper into the competition. Not because he could prove a conspiracy, he said, but because pattern felt impossible to ignore. Those words detonated immediately. Egyptian players echoed the fury, some careful, some incandescent, all carrying the same wound. They spoke about momentum stolen in plain sight. They spoke about the psychological violence of celebrating a goal, feeling history open, and then being dragged backward into uncertainty by a review that seemed to magnify one angle while ignoring another. Soon the Egyptian Football Association moved beyond outrage and into procedure, filing a complaint and demanding an investigation into the refereeing team. That matters. It matters because federations do not escalate lightly after painful defeats on this stage without reason at all. And yet, to understand why this story spread like fire, you have to look at the other side too. Argentina did not walk onto that pitch with magic in their pockets. They still had to respond. They still had to breathe under panic. They still had to chase a game that was slipping away. And when the tide turned, they attacked with the ruthless calm of a champion that has seen chaos before and survived it. That is the uncomfortable truth for anyone searching for an easy villain. Argentina were helped perhaps, but ruthless enough to seize it that night. But that is exactly why the controversy refuses to die, because the debate is not about whether Argentina can play. It is about whether a game of this magnitude can absorb a decision of this magnitude without shattering trust. Pull back further and the picture grows darker. This was not the first World Cup match to send supporters hunting through replays, freeze frames, audio speculation, and referee histories looking for reassurance. It joined a longer chain of grievances where technology was sold as the cure for injustice, then became a source of it. More cameras, less certainty for everyone watching. Before we go deeper, if this is the kind of coverage you have been looking for, subscribe and turn on notifications, because the next layer is where the issue stops being emotional and starts becoming institutional. Egypt's complaint did not emerge in a vacuum. It landed in a global environment where every major refereeing controversy instantly becomes a referendum on FIFA itself. Fans remember missed calls, selective reviews, baffling handball interpretations, and sudden lines drawn by invisible geometry. They remember promises that the system would make football fairer, faster, clearer. Instead, often it makes moments feel conditional, reversible, almost political. This is where Hussam Hassan's accusation hits hardest. He did not merely complain about one whistle, he attacked the incentive structure surrounding the tournament's biggest stars. If Messi keeps advancing, ratings hold, sponsors smile, headlines multiply, global attention stays locked. That does not automatically mean the match was manipulated. It does, however, explain why so many people were ready to believe it could have been influenced. That is the damage. That is the damage. Once supporters think commercial gravity may be leaning on justice, every close call becomes evidence, every silence becomes strategy, and every official explanation arrives half distrusted. And still, there is another layer, one that makes this even more painful for Egypt. They were not crushed from the opening whistle. They were not outclassed from minute one. They touched the impossible. They held it. They felt it. For one stretch, they forced the champions to look mortal, and the world to imagine a new map of power. That is why the reversal hurt so deeply. A routine defeat brings sadness. This brought haunting. It left Egyptian supporters asking not simply why they lost, but whether they were ever allowed to finish the job they had started brilliantly. So where does that leave FIFA? In the worst place any governing body can be. Not merely criticized, but doubted. Not merely debated, but distrusted. Credibility does not collapse in one moment. It erodes through repetition, through patterns, through the feeling that outcomes are being interpreted through power rather than protected from it. FIFA can point to protocol, to rooms, to law books, to official statements. Egypt can point to emotion, to sequence, to momentum, to common sense. And the part is that millions of people believe both arguments can exist at the same time without resolving anything at all. That is why this match may outlive the bracket that produced it. Years from now, people may forget the exact passing sequences, the formations, even some of the scorers. They will remember the feeling. They will remember Egypt flying then freezing. They will remember Argentina surviving then surging. They will remember one decision standing in the middle, like a locked door nobody could stop staring at. And they will remember the question hanging over everything afterward. Was this simply football's cruelty at its most dramatic, or was it another warning that the game's most powerful stage is no longer trusted? And maybe that is the real ending here. Not the scoreline, not the comeback, not even the complaint. The real ending is a tournament forced to confront what happens when people stop believing the biggest moments are decided only by players. So the question passes to you. Was Egypt robbed by timing and inconsistency, or did Argentina simply do what champions do? Tell us in the comments, like the video for more fearless coverage, and subscribe if you refuse to look away. Because when doubt enters football, the game is never just the game again, for anyone watching this unfold.